Red Tobacco Intense, the new Lattafa Ajwaa, and the new Badi' al-Oud Honor and Glory. My name is Neeb, welcome back to Aromatics. Today's gonna be a pretty hearty video. We've got 3 hot new drops, starting off with the Intense Red Tobacco all the way from Spain. Just got this in the mail, got done with a workout and thought, I need to unbox this now. And so that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little side-by-side comparison to the original. We're gonna talk a little bit about the notes and the differences. I'll try and pop them both up on screen and make this as easy and as palatable as possible. But also, we've got this crazy looking bottle, Ajwaa. I had to get it. And if you're interested in some of the other ones from the new Pride collection, stay tuned. All of them will be coming for a review, a first impression and a review, obviously. And then also, this one's been getting a lot of talk. Not many people have been figuring out what the heck this fragrance is all about, so let's see if we can do that here today. The first one I want to start off with is Intense Red Tobacco by Mancera. Red Tobacco, released in 2017. We're now in 2023, and we've got all these elixirs coming out, a lot of new hot stuff, and Mancera's dropped a couple of fragrances in the meantime, and one of the hottest drops has been the Intense Cedrat Boisé. It doesn't surprise me that they came out with the Intense Red Tobacco. Let's see, is this a similar case? With the Intense Cedrat Boisé, for those of you wondering, it literally just smells like Cedrat Boisé, but more intense, and it actually does it a favor for those of you that want to wear that more so in like the fall time, in the colder weather. It takes that DNA, adds more depth to those woods, adds a little bit more of a wetness to the wet moss. It's a great fragrance and more intense than the original, a true intense version. So let's see what this is like. I'm assuming that it's going to be relatively similar in style for the flanker wise, because if you look at some of the notes, which we'll go ahead and do right now, the only real difference of Intense versus the Mancera original is the addition of leather, gaiac wood, and ambergris. Standard presentation with all the Manceras. You get this pouch. I got the small one all the way from Spain, and here we go. This is what it's gonna look like. Still exactly the same with the presentation. Intense Red Tobacco. I have no complaints, and it's a magnetized cap. Although I usually do jump into a full bottle, it was pretty expensive trying to get this all the way from Spain. And not just that, but I have this bottle and I'm probably not gonna go through it all with all the testings. So I tried to be a little bit more realistic and went with something like this. This is my sample size because you guys know we don't play, we overspray. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, the scent. Very nice atomizer, even on the small sample size. Here we go. Whoa, holy smokes. It is extremely strong. It is extremely strong. So I have a relatively new batch. Oh my God, hang on. Extremely strong. It is spicier, much more in your face. The cinnamon is a lot stronger. The saffron is a lot stronger. Nutmeg. This is a true intense flanker. It's as simple as that. Does it smell different? Absolutely not. It smells pretty much the same, just much stronger. Let's confirm whether or not it smells the same. I decided to wear Red Tobacco today because I knew that this video was gonna happen today. So here we go. Oh my God, I could taste it. All right, I had to get that out of my mouth. That was disgusting. And it's exactly that, you guys. There's much more emphasis around that saffron, nutmeg, and cinnamon in the intense version, and it makes it like this is a projection monster. Honestly, this is a new batch. I bought this here in 2023. It still performs like crazy. For 2 hours, I was projecting all over the place, just slapping people all over. Went to 7-Eleven, I picked up some iced coffee, which I now poured into this, and I got a compliment immediately. But it is important to note that this is a fragrance that seems like gentlemen are going to be complimenting because it's a pretty dense tobacco fragrance. It's tobacco, it's vanilla. Whenever I smell this fragrance, I remember 2 fragrances, Carolina Herrera's Mystery Tobacco and also Parfums de Marly Carlisle, except this is much more tobacco-centric. There are differences to all 3 of these fragrances, and this one, honestly, I favor a lot. I do favor Carlisle just a little bit more because it has a gourmand facet to it, but it should be appreciated in itself. This is for those days where I just want to be extremely masculine, just refined, straight up tobacco, warm tobacco at that. The original legitimately smells like a watered down version of the now new Intense. The Intense is extremely intense and very spicy. I'm all about the spice, man. I'm here for it. I'm loving this. For me, this is a 10 out of 10. This, I absolutely will reach for before I reach for Red Tobacco. If you're having any performance issues, it's definitely not going to be the case with the Intense. This is only first impression. I don't know how long it's going to last, but just off of this tester strip, the sillage is enormous. I could taste this. This is all I'm breathing right now, and it's a great thing that I have this iced coffee next to me because getting into these next fragrances is going to be a challenge, but awesome stuff. Mancera knocked it out of the park with this one. Intense Red Tobacco. If you enjoy Red Tobacco, this is a must-have. I'm not sponsored by Mancera. I did not get this sent to me as a PR. I purchased this with my own money. I paid about $180 US to have this shipped all the way from Spain. For this little rinky-dink bottle, I paid that much. Considering the fact, I do not regret it at all. I think that even for that $180, this is worth every penny. A lot of people might think that that's steep, and it is pretty steep, but this is a niche fragrance, and it's the hottest drop right now, and honestly, the scent profile of this and the performance, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get exactly what I paid for it in terms of performance. So, smells like it's gonna be pretty beastly. Can't really speak for the total longevity and all that good stuff, but stay tuned, and I will be reporting back with a full review of this fragrance. It definitely smells, in my opinion, better than Red Tobacco. Red Tobacco is still pretty much a 9.5, if not a 10 out of 10 for me, but this one just takes what this does and enhances it and makes it that much better. All hype aside, all bullshit aside, this one's really good. But you have been warned though, this is much spicier than the original, but because of that, the performance on this is gonna be astronomical. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next fragrance. I've already unboxed this one. I unboxed this in the car. I did a little short with it on TikTok and on Instagram. This is a little bit strange to me. It's not a bad smelling fragrance by any means, but in the opening, I couldn't really pinpoint exactly what it was. There's a couple of notes like pineapple, creme brulee, and what I got with this fragrance, especially in that opening, you get like this crisp pineapple. It's not just pineapple on its own. There's something that's almost creating like this zing effect. I know that there's turmeric in somewhere in the mid, but I get more of like this ginger. But turmeric is also a root, so I'm not surprised that ginger and turmeric might smell pretty similar. In all honesty, the opening doesn't remind me of anything, but for whatever reason though, in the back of my mind, I feel like this might be duping a Kayali fragrance. I took a look at some of the Kayali fragrances. I don't own them. Take this with a grain of salt. It could mean absolutely nothing, but their last release, the red one, was in fact Eden Apple. And so I'm thinking that this fragrance right here might either be inspired by like Citrus 08 or possibly Deja Vu White Flower 57. I'm not sure. Take it with a grain of salt. The voice in the back of my head said mention it, and so that's exactly what I did. But off the top, I don't really resemble this to anything. It opens up pretty bitter if I'm being honest. And think of fruits like grapefruit, think of something like papaya or guava. It has like this tropical fruit vibe, but that's also bitter. And it's pretty significant enough for me to mention. I am getting something that's slightly spicy and metallic. It almost draws like this note of saffron. So although there's no saffron that's actually listed in the notes, and instead it's cinnamon, for whatever reason, the spicy quality of this, I'm definitely getting something that's a bit metallic. As this one starts to dry down is where I start to get vibes of different fragrances. I start to think of a couple of fragrances that pop into mind. Think of like Qaid al-Fursan, but it's not nearly as fruity or as natural smelling as something like that. And if you think that's synthetic, then you're probably going to think this one is as well. I start to get this vibe of like Qaid al-Fursan, along with Instant Crush by Mancera, along with even Kajal's Lamar. You definitely get that pineapple vibe, but it's not just pineapple. There's a bitterness to this pineapple. It starts to get a little bit warmer. There's some definite spice to this fragrance. There's that cinnamon and black pepper, that combination of both of them could be the reason why I'm getting some kind of saffron, or there could just be saffron in the fragrance that's just not listed. The opening didn't really set me in the right direction, but then as it started to get in the mid and dry down, I could really appreciate it. The one thing I will say about this is that after that first 30 minutes, the projection and performance on this fragrance is amazing. It really is. So if you care about projection and performance, this is definitely going to do that. It's bitter tropical fruits and some spices and what smells like to me ginger, or just basically that turmeric. I think that because of that ginger vibe in this fragrance, a lot of people were saying Nishani's Ani. I definitely don't get that vibe. I can understand where some people are getting that vibe because they smell that ginger, and then later in the mid to dry down, they're starting to get some of that warm vanilla. Those resins really warms this one up, but it's definitely not Ani. The ginger nuance that I get from this fragrance is definitely more earthy and spicy than the typical ginger, so I'm not surprised that it is in fact turmeric. And actually, if I really put my nose to it and think about it, it does genuinely smell like turmeric. Basically, what this reminds me of is a couple of fragrances. Qaid al-Fursan, some saffron, so I'm getting vibes of Kajal's Lamar. And then I also get like the mid to dry down of Instant Crush by Mancera. I haven't really been able to pinpoint exactly what this is duping, but those are the three fragrances that really came to mind when I sniffed this. So the first hour was okay. After the first hour was beautiful. Actually, really after the first 30 minutes, it was beautiful. The opening of this fragrance does lean a little bit more feminine, but I have to emphasize that I was not a fan for the first 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes or even 20 minutes, I was all about this fragrance. I could just tell that I was getting attention, and this fragrance was really projecting off my skin enormously. And I want to live with it for a couple of days before I can give the final verdict as to whether or not I think this is a green light or not. If you're interested in this one enough, I highly suggest you just go ahead and pick it up yourself and just see how you feel about it, because this is unlike something that I put my nose to, at least, and until I can get a couple of days of wearing, I'm not really going to make a full review. I don't want to rush it and steer people wrong, so that's all I have to say about this one for now. The next one that I purchased from Macy's, and I did another unboxing, and I'm not really too particular about that one, is Gucci Guilty Elixir. So I picked it up. It's a little rinky-dink bottle. I was pretty excited about it. A lot of elixirs have just been killing the game, and I sprayed it on. The opening was great. It was buttery, a lot of orange blossom or orange flowers, and spices, some of that nutmeg and pimento seeds. Shortly after that, about 30 minutes in, I started to really detect this earthy nuance, very woody and leathery, and it was this osmanthus. But the problem is that osmanthus goes absolutely nowhere, and it just kind of takes over the fragrance for the remainder of the fragrance. And it almost sticks out like a sore thumb. So it wasn't really that bad of a fragrance. I could still smell the Gucci Guilty DNA somewhere in the backdrop, but I wasn't really crazy about it. Those resins really started to amplify. It got more balsamic. There was some vanilla in this fragrance as well, but for whatever reason, I just wasn't digging it. The osmanthus is what really set this one off for me. So it just kind of stood out, and it just stayed there, and it wasn't going anywhere. And while it's still not a bad fragrance at all, I definitely don't think it's a safe blind buy. I don't think it's a mass appealing fragrance either, and it's not something that I'm really going to be wearing or reaching for. This is going to be for people who enjoy spicy fragrances, oriental fragrances, but also enjoy like the note of vetiver. Whenever I wear vetiver fragrances, it can come off a little bit like ammonia, or it has like this pissy quality, or even this acidity, and for whatever reason, the combination of that benzoin, which is already pretty balsamic and slightly acidic, combined with that osmanthus, really drew this whole acidity vibe, the same thing that I get with vetiver. And that for me is what really made this fragrance a no-go. So I can't really recommend Gucci Guilty Elixir, but I definitely think that there's a crowd for that. If you enjoy vetiver-based fragrances, I think that you're going to be more inclined to enjoying this fragrance. Not a safe blind buy, but it doesn't really matter because your local Macy's will likely have this fragrance. So I highly suggest you try and sample this fragrance first before you go out there and purchase it. It's buttery, it's spicy, slightly floral from that orange blossom. And then you have that balsamic vibe with the woods. Not a bad fragrance per se, and there are a lot of other elixirs that dropped this year that I thoroughly enjoyed, and really all of them I've enjoyed, but this one, it's just not my cup of tea. I don't want to drop a rating on this thing because it could be like a 6 for me and somebody else's 10. So it is what it is, not for me. And lastly, the Lattafa Ajwaa. If you made it this far into the video, do me a solid, hit that like and that subscribe button. Let's get back to it. Presentation on these things have come a long way. Lattafa's Pride has been extremely successful, and fortunately, this is one of those brands which actually uses its resources to improve. So here we go. Laminated box. It's not your standard cardboard. On the top, you get the pamphlet. And not only that, but hold the phone. A few of them are now coming soon. So let's check it out. We've got a few of them coming soon. So there's Art of Arabia 1 and Art of Arabia 2. That's what these are looking like. And then there's also Art of Arabia 3 and Peace and Love. Let's get that to focus. And then we have Art of Arabia 1 and okay, Art of Arabia 1, another Art of Arabia. Whatever. Okay, we've got one with a camel and then another one with a couple of horses. The ones with the horses is Art of Nature. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There you go. Art of Nature 2 and Art of Arabia 1 again. And then, oh, okay, these are getting funky now. We've got Pisa and Embrace. Pretty nice. You guys, they're coming out with a lot of heat, man. Art of Wood, and then we've got La African. I'm getting them all. All right, here we go. Slide it out like so. Front of the box looks like this. Lattafa Ajwaa. I cannot wait to see this bottle. What in the actual F? Check this out, dude. Holy smokes. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? I don't know about you guys, but this freaking bottle, it's so damn cool. Notes for this fragrance include bergamot, LMI, dates. We got lemon, more LMI. We've got licorice, myrrh, benzoin, and incense. So resin, incense, and resin. A lot of resin and more resin. Holy smokes. All right, so the cap on this thing is metal. A lot of details there. Snaps on a place. It's on there pretty tight. You can pick it up by the cap. And then you have like this little tassel. And the tassel says Ajwaa. And then on the other side, it says Lattafa Pride. I'm getting a little bit confused right now. Did we already unbox the niche, or are we unboxing the niche now? Okay, no. All bullshit aside, the scent profile of this is amazing. So let me not even go there. But seriously, come on, step it up, man. Look at this thing. All right, look, I love my niches, and I'm sure you guys love your niche fragrances too. But seriously, how can you say this isn't one of the coolest freaking bottles that's released in 2023? If you have any appreciation for SpongeBob, then you dig this presentation. Here we go. Let's check it out. Atomizer, really not bad. And here we go. Oh yeah, this is different, man. Right away, lemon, incense, pepper. It's not pepper though, it's licorice. Very nice. Almost like a tonka sweetness, except it's a bit fruity. Dates. This is an oriental opening for sure. You have to enjoy incense if you want to get into this fragrance. And the resins. The resins are starting to creep up. Scent profile on this is pretty serious. This isn't going to be an average mass appealing fragrance. If you're into deep, dense, resinous incense fragrances, you're going to enjoy the opening on this one. Honestly, the scent profile on this one is way far from being anything that smells like a cheapie. This has to be duping something niche because the scent profile on this is pretty niche. It's pretty complex. And I mean, in all reality, this is around $60 to $70 right now in the US. So I'm not surprised that it smells this quality. It smells higher quality for sure. Still getting a hefty dose of lemon, incense, dates, and some of that resin. Very different, but I'm liking this a lot. If it wasn't for that dates, I think this would be a little bit too much for me. Reason being, all of the resins, it's a pretty balsamic fragrance, but it's really held down by that sweetness of the dates. I'm honestly liking this enough to spray it on skin. So let's see what this does on skin, because sometimes some of those resins can come off even more acidic on skin, specifically the elemi. So on skin, I'm getting that lemon, I'm getting the incense, I'm getting a hefty dose of the elemi. In the realm of resins and balsams, elemi is pretty much the brightest one. It smells like a resins that's not only balsamic, but it has a citric undertone. And because of that, this complements that lemon fairly well. It's not going to be a mass appealing fragrance by any means, but this is like an incense based fragrance that's spicy and that's very resinous. Obviously, it's going to be resinous considering how many resins are in the note breakdown. You do have to enjoy incense and oriental vibe fragrances because it has a hefty dose of that. The dates plays a significant role in this fragrance, at least in the top to the mid. It could come off a little bit more balsamic, a little bit acidic if it weren't for the dates. The dates, I feel like, helps ground this fragrance from going too acidic or too balsamic. Without the dates, there wouldn't be that sweetness, and all I would get with this is an acidity, really. An acidity, a spiciness, and incense. But no, the dates does give this a good dose of sweetness, and it also gives us a fruity undertone. I could speak at least for the top to the mid. It smells fantastic. It smells pretty Middle Eastern, pretty complex if I'm being honest, and pretty incense and balsam centric. So if you're not really familiar with niche DNAs or more specialized DNAs, then this might be a little bit complex for you. Not going to be a mass appealer, but it's definitely an upscaled fragrance that smells pretty oriental. And now it makes sense because this is a freaking palm tree. So you're going to get a hefty dose of that dates. I freaking love this stuff. This stuff smells pretty grown, pretty masculine. This is not a safe blind buy. You absolutely have to enjoy Middle Eastern fragrances. A lot of niche scents. If you enjoy houses like Amwaj, then you likely enjoy Middle Eastern fragrances. I'm not just talking about cheapies. I'm talking about high-end Middle Eastern fragrances because that's what this smells like. It smells like a high-end Middle Eastern fragrance. If you don't enjoy incense, if you don't enjoy resins, if you don't enjoy dates, then stay away from this one. So I was sitting here smelling Ajwaa on my hand and I'm really digging this. And then I started thinking to myself, this really smells a lot like something that Amwaj would create. Not the quality, the scent profile. I truly don't believe that anything from Lattafa will match Amwaj because like other niche fragrances, the quality of the oils really does stand out. So although it might be replicating a scent profile, not necessarily the quality, you can't do it at a certain price point. And that's definitely going to be the case. But then I started to see a little similarities and started to think to myself, which fragrances really surrounds itself around that elemi note and then some lemon and incense and maybe some spices or peppers like that licorice. And then one specifically stood out and it was Search by Amwaj. I started to think maybe I should check out Royal Tobacco as well, but it's very pungent, too animalic, no way. And then even with Search, I started thinking to myself, you know what? With Search, there's a hefty dose of that lemon. It's not really mass appealing. And this one does have that sweetness of dates. So I got my nose on a couple of them and I still have them sprayed down here on tester strips. And really the closest one that it got to was Search. I know that Search in the opening, this isn't close to Search in the opening because of the fact that the lemon lime and some of the mandarin in Search is just really strong. And it could not even be close to any of these fragrances. But the scent profile or the DNA took my mind at least into this realm or category of fragrances. So niche DNA that's very Middle Eastern. So here we go, Search. So extremely distinctive lemon, super inky quality, incense, spice, and some resins. It's giving me the same olfactive experience as a whole. I'm getting the resins, I'm getting the citruses, I'm getting the incense and the spice. And that's almost the identical experience that I got with Ajwaa. However, Ajwaa did have that date sweetness and it's not of this quality. So very distinctive lemon lime and also that incense, some citruses, the peppers, the spiciness, and the incense. And then with Ajwaa, it honestly smells like something in the same family, but much less quality. And that's a given. But the fact that this is priced at what it's priced at, I think it's pretty adequate. And the scent DNA, you're getting best bang for buck with this. So no, I'm not gonna call this one a dupe. Search is pretty different. It's pretty different. I just thought that this would be of value just to be able to put it in a certain realm or category of fragrances. It's very Middle Eastern and it's not mass appealing. Smells great though. And in all honesty, the Lattafa version is much more mass appealing than like something from Amouage. It's not close to any 4 of these fragrances, the new releases from Amouage, so don't take that from this video, but what you can take from this is the fact that this is actually pretty decent quality smelling and Middle Eastern. I'm looking forward to rocking all 3 of these fragrances. If you're looking forward to that review, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and leave a like on the video. And until the next one, peace.